गुरुरादिरनादिश्च गुरुः परमदैवतं गुरोः परतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्वागतम्। अथ विसर्गसन्धयः। सन्धिषु स्वरसन्धिं चर्चितवन्तः। अधुना विसर्गसन्धिः चर्च्यते। This part of the Sandhi series will be discussing the Visarga Sandhis. The Visarga Sandhis are again 4 types. What they are and how they are applied is what we shall see in this part of the series. First of all, let's know when a Visarga Sandhi starts operating. So, when there is a Visarga in the Purvam, and I have given the abbreviation V to the Purvam, the Purvam, which is the V, wherever there is a Visarga in V, Visarga Sandhi automatically starts operating. So once you see the Visarga in the Purvam, you should automatically go back to the Visarga Sandhis and see which is to be applied, which type of Visarga Sandhi is to be applied. Now there are a few hints that I would like to give you. So paraksharasya vyatyasah na kadapi bhavati. In the entire Visarga Sandhis, never does the para, the R, change. Visargasya purvam sada swarah eva syat. Now that is pretty obvious because a Visarga is a cousin of Vyanjanas. We saw in the Varna series, the Varna Varnanam series in the other playlist, that Visarga falls under the category of Ayogavaha. Kapahyam. In that category, Kapahyam and the Vyanjanas are also the dependent Varnas, whereas the Swaras are the independent Varnas. The Vyanjana and the Ayogavaha or the Kapahyam are the dependent ones. So what do they depend on? They are dependent on the Swaras itself. So Vyanjana cannot be preceded by a Visarga cannot be preceded by a Vyanjana. For example, you can't say the Vyanjana K followed by the Visarga, the 2 dots. It does not have any pronunciation and it does not exist. But you can have Kaha, where the Ka comes first, then the Swara A, finally we have the Visarga. Kaha, K-A-Ha, K-Ha, Kaha. So a Visarga always needs a Swara before it. Therefore, if a Visarga occurs at in the Purva place, then what is the nature of the Varna just before it? Yes, you guessed it right. It should be a vowel or a Swara. This position, which is the penultimate position of the Purva Pada, that is, in the Purva Pada, the last Akshara is called the Purvam. Is it not? In the first word, the last Akshara is called the Purvam. That is what we have been discussing so far. And then the letter just before the Purvam is called the Upadha. The penultimate position is called the Upadha. And therefore, in the Visarga Sandhis, always the Upadha are Swaras. Depending on what the Upadhas are, we have the different types of Visarga Sandhis, different categories. Now, in the Visarga Sandhis, there are a few nomenclatures that we need to understand. First is that what is a Mridu Vyanjana or a Karkasha Vyanjana? That we have seen already. Mridu Vyanjanas are the Hash Vyanjanani. From the Maheshwara Sutrani, we have the Hash Pratyahara. Hayavara, La, Nyama Ganana, Jabha, Ghadadha, Jaba Gadada, Khapa, Chatata, Chatata, Kapa, Shashasa, Ha. All of that comes under Mridu Vyanjana, or simply you can remember it as 3, 4, 5, the third, fourth and fifth column of the Vargiya Vyanjana, and then Hayavaral. Hayavaral 3, 4, 5. Hayavaral 3, 4, 5 are the Mridu Vyanjana. This is very important because it forms the core in Visarga Sandhi discussions. Karkasha Vyanjana are the remaining Vyanjanas. What are they? They are the first and the second column, 1, 2, and then Sha, Sha, Sa. Sha, Sha, Sa. Of course, without the Akara. just the Vyanjanas. So a small trick that you can remember it as, you can 1, 2 Sheshas. That's how I remembered it. Sheshas. It's not actually She there, but the Ekara is just for simple memory techniques. Sheshas 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Or we can say 1, 2 Sheshas, 3, 4, 5 Hayavaral. Those are the Mridu and the Karkasha Vyanjanani. Now, when the Upadha, which is always a Swara, follows is followed by a Visarga, that's all. In every case it is followed by a Visarga. That is the Purva part. Now, depending on what the para is, again we have many more classifications. If the para, the R, is a Karkasha Vyanjana, it's a Karkasha Vyanjana exclusively, then you go to this part of the table, which is the Sakaradesha, Jihva Mulaya, Upadhmaniya, Purnocharana, all of that. In the coming slides, we shall see the Sakaradesha first, and at the end we shall see all of these three put under the title Itare. Itare means the others. So Sakaradesha and the others come only when the para is Karkasha. The Karkasha Vyanjanas are in the para, and then Sakaradesha, Jihva Mulya, Upadhmani and Purnocharana. All of these categories happen only when the para is Karkasha. Now the Upadha for this case, that is the second point where the para is Karkasha, the Upadha is of no consequence, which means for this category of Visarga Sandhis, where the para is the Karkasha, whatever be the Swara in the Karkasha, in the Upadha place, and the para is always the Karkasha, a certain rule is applied depending on the Karkasha Vyanjana alone. Let me repeat that. In this case where the para is Karkasha, the Upadha does not play any role. So only depending on the Karkasha Vyanjanani, further classification of Sakaradesha and these three happen. Whereas in the first case where the para is the Mridu Vyanjanani or any other Swara also. So through all permutations and combinations, a Visarga can follow a Swara, which is the Upadha, but the para Akshara can be either a Swara or a Vyanjana, right? Yes, it can't, no word starts with an Ayogavaha, so that is ruled out. So a para Akshara always should be either a Vyanjana or a Swara. Depending on what type of Vyanjana it is, we have these two classifications. So if it is a Mridu Vyanjana or it can be any Swara, then this is the first case. And in that case, we have these three categories of Ukaradesha, Rephadesha and Lopa. Here, unlike the second case, what the Upadha is also matters, which means that the Adeshas, the substitutions that happen to the Visarga is not only dependent on the what type of Mridu Vyanjana or what type of Swara is there, but also it depends on the Upadha. The Upadha or the penultimate position or the Swara which is preceding the Visarga. So that is the first case and this is the second case. Now, I hope this is clear. This is very, very important. So that once you are given two words with the Visarga separating them, you come to know quickly what category to go to. Is it this which case to go to? This is the first or the second case. You see the para akshara. If it is a Karkasha Vyanjana, come back to the second case. That's it. You need not even bother anything about the first case. And the rules that apply to the second case are totally independent of the first case rules. Which means whatever Adeshas are said to happen in the second case do not relate anyhow to the first case and vice versa. Also, the first case, if it is, now you see the Parakshara. If the Parakshara is a Mridu Vyanjana or if it is any Swara, quickly go back to the first case and start dealing with only these three types of Visarga Sandhis alone. These three alone will happen. And again, whatever rules are set by Panini here in the first case, again do not apply it to the second case. I hope that is also crystal clear in your minds. Now, one funny fact is that actually Panini goes about a convoluted way of explaining the Visarga Sandhis through first a Visarga becomes Yakara or it becomes Ra, then ra becomes ya, then, and so many more complications are there in how Panini has explained it. But the coming Bhashakaras and the Karikas, etc., they have taken to the Prakriya approach, which means they have analyzed what Panini wants to say, and they have digested it, and they have put it in simpler categorical forms, like how we are going to discuss in this slide. So this is the Prakriya approach. That is, you have what the Purva is, the Para is what, and then what is the Adesha. This is called the Prakriya approach. So this is the introduction of Visarga Sandhis. In the next class, we shall see what the Sakara Deshas and the second, we'll first deal with the second case, because that's more simpler and it is easier. Dhanyavadaha.